Hello, so today we are going to do this problem called interleaving string. So the problem says given S1, S2, and S3, you want to find whether S3 is formed by the interleaving of S1 and S2. So you get a string like this one, and then we have two strings A, B, C, C, and then D, B, B, C, A. And we want to check if this one is formed by interleaving these two. And so for this one, you can see here we have two A's, which are here, and then we have B, C, which is here, and then we have another C. And then D, B, B, C, A here, we take D, we can take B, and then B here, and then C, A here. So it's just interleaving of these two strings. For this string here, let's first check the length. So we have 5 characters here, and then another 5, so 10. And so here we have 2, 5, 2. So the length is good. The number of C characters is good. The number of B characters is not. So you can see, no, the number of B characters is good also. And then D, and then A. So why does this one return false? So we do AA, right? And then we do B here, then we do C here, and then this one comes D, and then we put maybe one B, and then B. Yeah, so you can see here, this AC, there is no way to obtain this CA, right? Because we have here A before C. So yeah, that's why. Okay, so how can we solve this problem? Sorry about this. Okay, so this is S1. So one thing we need to define here is what does interleaving mean. So this is S3. Okay, let's see what's the unknown that we are looking for. S3 is equal to interleaving of S1 and S2. Okay. Basically, it seems like if some characters are in one order in one of the strings and we take them and we reverse the order, then we have a problem, right? But we can take like a single character from each, that would be fine. It's just like D has to come before B. So it's more an order thing. And also one thing we can check is that if length of S3 is different than length of S1 plus length of S2, we can immediately return false, right? That's the first thing. If there is a character S1 or in S2 that is not in S3, then we should also return false. And a similar thing should happen if we have a character in S3, right? But not in, they should basically have the same characters and their same number of occurrences, right? So occurrences of in S3 should be equal to the occurrences in S1. Union maybe the occurrences in S2. And once all these conditions are true, like none of them is not true, we can go to the ordering. Then after that, check the order. Like we can do that separately, like we can give for the same characters, it doesn't matter. It's mostly for different characters. This is the tricky part. Okay, so actually I'm thinking maybe we can use dynamic programming to solve this, right? So if we want to use dynamic programming, we need to come up with a state that solves the problem. So to do that, we need a couple of variables, right? So we have 3 strings here. We have this, and then we have the one that should be a result of interleaving both, right? So we need like the substring of I, and then we need the substring of j ending at j for S2, and then we need another index for the ending of S3, so we need k. So we need some kind of DP function based on these 3 variables, so j, k, which basically would mean here, the state here would mean something like S3 is formed by, well, actually S3 from 0 to k is formed by interleaving S1 from 0 to I and S2 from 0 to j. And then doing these 3 here, we could basically, yeah, when we reach the length of each, we will be done, right? So basically the result would be dp of, let's say, n, maybe m, or let's call it n1, n2, and n3, such that n1 is the length of S1, this is the length of S2, and this is the length of S3, right? So how can we handle this? So usually with dynamic programming, we need a couple of things. We need the goal function, we need the state itself, which we just defined, right? So here it can be just a Boolean, right? True or false. And so, and then we need the recurrence relation, right? Between, and then we need some kind of order of iteration, like the for loops that we'll need to do. So if I look at the recurrences here, let's say I have, how can I construct this as a function of maybe dp of I-1, j-1, and k-1, right? So if I take this string, so this is S3, right? And if I take this, this is S2. Let me just put it here. So we have S2 here, and then we have S1, right? So looking at this, so for AD, well, I know A is equal to one of them, right? So I could just move, right? And then I'll check here I have another A, so that corresponds to this one, so I move again. And then I have this D, so I move this pointer. And then I have this B, so I move this pointer. And then I have this B, so I move this pointer again. I have C, I can move either one. Let's say I move this one. And then I have this B, right? Okay, actually I should not have moved that one, okay? Because, yeah, so I guess I need to try multiple options, because if I moved using this B, then I will be stuck, right? So trying multiple options. Multiple moves, right? So basically when there is a match, in both S1 and S2 essentially, okay? So after that, so let's say, okay, so I'm here, this B I haven't handled it yet because I used these two B's here and then this C here. And now I'm at this B, right? So this C, I used it, so I advance, and then I'm at this B, I use that, I advance. Now I use this C, and now I use this A, and then I use this C, and that should return true, right? So what I'm doing here is essentially matching S1 at position maybe I plus 1 with S2, or I could do it either way. Like I could say that IJ means ending at just the index before I, so essentially ending at I minus 1, and at that point I could compare SI and S1I with S2, S3K, right? And then also compare S2 with S3K, okay? So what is the recurrence at this point? So it's dp of I minus, so basically I should do the if check here. So if S1I equal to S3K, then, well, this is true, right? So I could just return true if dp of I minus 1 and J and K minus 1 is true, right? If this is true, then because of this, this is true. Else, if S1 I is to J equal to S3K, then I could also do something maybe like this. It would be dp of this time I, J minus 1, K minus 1. And I guess both work, right? So maybe this could be the recurrence relation for us. Now for this one here, well, I should also have some kind of base case definition. Now for the order of iteration, I could do for I in range of, so I will need 3 of them, right? 1 for each. So I will need I for like N1. Of course, we'll need to define that, and then J, and then 1 for K. But one thing here is that I can't do I minus 1 here. So maybe what is, like, can I define some base case? So what is dp of 0, 0, 0, right? So before, like, so basically ending at 0 for each one of them, right? So that depends on the values. Well, that's just S1, 0. So actually for this, what I will need is to define dp of 0, 0. And then I will need, because of this, 0, 1, 0, right? For this case, this would be 0, this would be 1, this would be 0. And then I will need also the case where, this case here, where I have 1 but 0 here. So I'll need to find all these. So this means here, all of them ending at 0, right? So either S1 equal to S3 0 or S1 0, S2 0 equal to S3 0. Now for this one here, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because here I could do ending at 1 for S2, right? So it's ending at 1 for S2 here. So what I'm looking for is, of course, dp of 0, 0, right? Because then it matches because k is 0, same thing here. Or let's say it's S. Here what I'm interested in is j, so S2 of j equal to S3 of 0, right? So this would be S1. And here I think would be something along the line of S. So this is I, right? So it would be S1 of 1 equal to S3 of 0. So if I do that, then potentially I could maybe solve this. So I will need to define my array here. So I would need to initialize it with just, it's a Boolean, right? So I would need to initialize it with essentially false at the beginning for this in range of, let's define the lengths for each. So that would be length of S1, length of S2, length of S3 here. And then, so the first thing that when we say the row for, that's I, right? So we need range of N1. And then we enter. So actually the inner one is K. So that would be N3. And this is false. And then we'll do that for the one after that, which is N2. And then we'll do that for N1. And now we can start maybe with this. Maybe if the length, we will need to check some kind of, just protect ourselves if one of the strings is empty or has length, a very short length, right? And then we will start with this for these for loops. Okay. And then after that, we can do this. And then at the end, we should return dp of n1 minus 1. Sorry, actually the first one, yeah, n1 minus 1, n2 minus 1, and then n3 minus 1. And we could change this here to be, if this happens, then this is equal to this. And then we shouldn't do else because maybe this one was false. So if not, and, or actually we could just say, if this is true, then we could just say this and then give it an OR. So that if it's true, we take it, and then we advance like that. Okay, I'll just check this. Okay, so with this, let's maybe try with a simpler example. But before all of this, first I can do something here, which is if the size of S1 is plus N2 is different than N3, then, well, it's not interleaving of both, right? So we could just return false at this point. Now, let me just print DP array here and see what we have there. Okay, seems like almost all of them are false. So yeah, because yeah, that makes sense, because I never set anything to true except these two first values, right? Okay, so let's first just try with something very simple like this. So AD, I know this should work, right? So let's see. It's an interleaving here, right? So we get index out of range, right? Because of this one here. Yeah, because the string length is like, so let me just, for now, just handle that here. So if n1 is equal to 1, well, that won't work, right? Because, yeah. So here we could, and so we could first just make sure the lengths are good. So n1 at least equal, like bigger or equal to 1, and n3 bigger or equal to 1. Then we could do and that, and then, well, it would have been different, yeah. So we could just do this, and then here we could just do n2. And there we could do this, and of course we need n2 to be bigger than, so we need to at least have 2 elements for this to work, so bigger than 1. And S3 we already, we should have that, so basically we should say n3 bigger than 0, right? Same thing here, bigger than 0, bigger than 0. And here we should have n1 bigger than 1 and n3 bigger than 0. Okay, just to save ourselves from this, let's just do this without. Okay, so now it works for that one. Let's take it, another example here. So let's say we have maybe B, and then we have B here. So that one works. Now, what if we say A? So we should have 3 A's here. Okay, that seems to work. Now, if we have B and B here, we could have A again, B, maybe A, and then another B, right? So it would be A, we take A here, we take B, let's say we take this B, and so after that, if we take this, or we take this B, and then we take A, and then we take that last B. Okay, so that false. Yeah, this one is complicated. It should have said true, because it's, now if we have it just like that, it could be AA, BB, right? Okay, so this one also has wrong answer, which means there is a problem, right? What if we have just one A? Then at that point, this should work, right? Okay, so that works. Now, what if we have like this? So I think this should work, right? Okay, so that falls. So the problem is definitely when we take the entire one of the strings and then put, let's say, another one after it, right? So seems like the problem is here. Actually, what we are doing here is or this and that's actually the same thing, right? Maybe there is also a way to simplify this here. Sorry, to simplify this, I meant. So what if we did n plus 1 here, right? N plus 1, n plus 1, and maybe just got rid of this. And then said that this is by default true. And then we could, at this point, start from 1 essentially, and then just return this. And for these, it would be -1, -1. Okay, does it work at least with this? It doesn't, okay. revert that then. Okay, this is still true, so should be fine. Okay. Okay, so actually this would be too complicated to debug. So let's try to do not dynamic programming directly. Let's try to do it with memorization essentially. And one other thing that may simplify this for me is that we actually don't need this parameter in the state, because if we know that we could construct S3 by interleaving S1 and S2, then the length of S3 is just I plus j, like k is just equal to I plus j, because literally what this says, if it's equal to true, is that it's just the interleaving between S1 all the way up until I and S2 up until j, right? So that's what we can do here, right? So we could just take this, and what I'm going to do is just, again, keep these, right? We still need this. And then I will need a helper function here. And that helper function for me would need just I and j. As I said, in the state, I don't need k. So I would just say maybe something like this. And here I could still do this, right? Now, if I get here and I plus j is equal to n3, that means we are done. So we should just return true, right? And other than that, I could just use what I said here, which is if S1 I is equal to S3 of I plus j, then I could go forward, right? So I could just go forward here with I plus 1 j, and then if for the other case, which is this here, I could say, so maybe let's just say k equal to I plus j here. Make this simpler, and at that point this is just k. So what this would mean is this is k here, and I can also just, instead of this here, I could just do something like this, and I'll need to do advanced j here. But I will need this variable here that says found, which starts out as false, right? And then I could just say something like this, and then I could assign this to my to the final result, right? So I could just return that. Here I would need all, right? So I'll need to all that. Just to confirm that I'm not making a mistake here. So if I have b equal to false, and then I say b with true, b is true. Now if I have it equal to false and then I say b false, it should be false. Okay, cool. And now I could return that, and then here I should just call it initially with 0, 0, and I should have something for my memorization here, and that's where I say if ij in memo, I just return the result there. That would be ij, and then here before returning I could just take this for ij, assign that to exist, and then return that. Okay, so if I run this, yep, there's a syntax error here. Yeah, so here what I should return is the final result. So if it's equal, that means we reach at the end, we are done. I wonder if there is a case where I would be more than the bounds for j. Yeah, there is that case. So here, if I is less than n1 and j is less than n2 and okay, so it's true for that case. Now for AAAD, now what about this case? Then after that, we will need a case where we have this, this, this. So this is line 84 here. Oh yeah, it's memo here. Okay, so that seems to be good. Now let's try with this one. Seems like there is, yeah, I need to put them in quotes. Okay, so that passes. Now let's try with this last case here. Okay, so that passes again. Let's submit. Okay, so that looks good. Cool. So this is just with memoization. Maybe we could turn this into a non-memoized solution. But also, can we just say, so this is essentially just this and this, right? Okay, otherwise it will be too long. I think we could just leave it like this.